Namaste, everybody. Welcome to this class. So this class is going to cover some postures that are in the general yoga pose guide of our course. And it's going to cover some of the postures that are in the general posture category. These postures are general postures that we encounter in our yoga asana class very often. And so this gives you an opportunity to be introduced or to be reintroduced to these postures. And you can look for them in the yoga guide source that is on Canvas. In the general postures also is included the sun salutations, being Namaskar, and moon salutations. So I will do that in another video. Okay, so to begin, we're going to come seated. And as you notice, I have some props available. If you don't have any props yet, or if you don't plan on buying any, it's completely fine. You can use props in your home, makeshift props that can support you. But I have a yoga strap. I have a blanket. I have some blocks, 2 blocks. And then I also have a yoga chair back here. There's also a yoga bolster. So I will give you some modifications in case some of these postures are challenging. Okay. All right. So first we sit down. Let's go ahead and come to a straight spine. Wrap the shoulders down and back and align your head, neck, and trunk in one line. And if you can, close your eyes, resting your hands on the tops of the thighs, and just visualize your spine. Visualize your spinal column at the center of your trunk, center of your body. And then just concentrate a little bit on there and breathe. As you breathe, inhale through the nose and bring the breath up the spine. And then as you exhale, release the breath down the spine. Just allowing yourself to check in a little bit to your body and your breath. Inhale again, lifting the back up. Let the breath go up the spine. Exhale down the spine. Good, one more. Inhale through the nostrils. Let the breath move up the spine. It can be the front or the back, doesn't matter. And then exhale all the way down. Good, now just sit quietly for 2 breaths on your own. Just allowing yourself to check in. Okay, open your eyes. And I'm going to move the props off the mat for now. And we're going to come into the first posture, which is called Bidalasana or cat-cow position. So come onto your hands and knees. Take your hands as wide as your shoulders, and the arms go straight down away from the shoulders. Spread your fingers, press evenly into your palms. Your knees are also hip distance apart, and they're under your hips. Okay, so this position is a position that allows us to stretch the spine and move the breath along the spine. So let's go ahead and inhale. And as you inhale, lift your tailbone up. That's the very end of your spinal column. And lift your chest, look up. And then exhale through your nose and round your spine and lift the back up, lift the kidneys up, and bring your chin to your throat. And let's do that again. Inhale, arch, and look up. And then exhale, round your spine, taking your tailbone down, taking your chin in, and stretch the back muscles. Again, inhale, arch, and look up. Let your breath kind of coax along the spine. And then exhale, round the spine, and press the floor away. Let's try that a few more times. Inhaling, just moving seamlessly through each vertebrae. And then exhale, round the spine. Good, now just moving to the sound of your breath. Inhale. Exhale, round it the other way. Inhale again, arching, concaving your back. And then exhale, lifting the back body up to the sky. And then go ahead and come into a neutral spine. So your back is nice and flat. Bring your knees together and just sit back onto your heels into Vajrasana pose. So this is a transition pose, sitting on the heels just for a few moments, because now we're going to move into child pose, Balasana. Child pose is a transitional pose, and it's also a rest pose. This pose can be challenging for some of us, especially if we have tightness in the lower limbs. But let's do the basic position. So we sit from Vajrasana and take the knees apart. So they're going to be wider than the hips. And from there, we're going to start to lower down, walk the hands forward, and bring your chest in between your thighs. Bring your forehead to the floor and lengthen the whole lower back and the outer hips towards the floor. Let's stay here and pause and breathe, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose 3 times. One, two, and 3. From here, inhale and walk your hands all the way up, walk your trunk up, and then squeeze your knees back together again. So a variation you can do for this position is you can use the chair if it's challenging to bring the trunk down. So you can walk your knees close to the chair, and you can hold the back of the chair, and you can bring a blanket or a bolster and place it on top of the chair. And you inhale and then exhale, just bring your forehead to the blanket. And then you can inhale and look up and stretch, open the knees a little bit wide. And then again, exhale, fold down. And breathe readily and consistently here. Good, and then come up on the inhale. Another variation you can do for child pose, especially if your hips don't come to the heels, is that you can rest forward and let the hips stay up and bring the forehead to the floor. In a variation called puppy dog. Okay, and then we're going to inhale and come forward and then sit back down. Okay, so the next pose that we're going to learn is called downward facing dog. This is also another transitional pose that is commonly found in sun salutations. And it's the pose that is used to come in and out of a lot of sequences. So many of you are probably familiar with it if you've practiced yoga before, but you can also use support of blocks, especially if you have sensitive wrists. Downward facing dog allows us to strengthen the wrists over time. But the important thing is that you want to press on the thumb and the index finger of each hand. So you really, really take a little bit of pressure on the weight on the wrists. Okay, so first let's just go into the regular pose. We're going to come into the cat-cow position as we did. So coming onto the hands and knees, separate the knees the width of the hips and the arms the width of the shoulders. From here, we're going to inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to curl your toes so that you're like in a high heel shoe. And then you're slowly going to press into the heel of the hands and lift the hips up to the sky and straighten the legs and straighten the back. Bring your chest towards your thighs as much as you can. And then pause here as you stretch out through the shoulders, stretch out through the legs and the hips, and then slowly release your body down, knees come down. And then again, let's sit in that Bidalasana again. The pose likes to have the heels down, but that's just the direction of it. Many of us cannot put the heels down, and that's just because the length of the Achilles. So don't pressure yourself if you're not achieving something that you wish to have. Let the pose develop over time. Let's try it again. So we're going to inhale, bring the hands forward, curl the toes, exhale, use your abdomen to lift the hips up And then again, bring your chest toward your thighs. Let yourself have equal weight on the legs and the arms. So maybe walk your hands a little bit forward. Good. And then come down again and sit. If you notice that the wrists are really bothering you, first, if you don't have the blocks, what you can do is you can roll the mat up. And you can place your hands on the front of the mat so that you lift the wrist up a little bit. And then you inhale and you can lift up and practice this way. Another way to do it is to grab the outside of your mat, grip it, pull apart, pull the mat wide, curl your toes, and press up again. So you're welcome to try all these variations. Pressing the chest towards the thighs, heels down. Good. And then just release the knees to the floor and come back into Vajrasana. If you do have blocks, get your blocks, place them at the top of your mat in each corner. Then from there, you're going to place the heel of the hand at the very front edge of the block. All right, so you're not at the front here, it's the front towards you. Now from there, you're going to pressurize the hands down, rock forward, lift up, and exhale. So you have to push down on the blocks quite firmly and press back. This variation is really helpful if you have a really tight back, your hamstrings are tight, and over time, you may like to practice at the beginning and then let go of them towards the end. Good, and then let's go ahead and release down. And then take your hands, make a little fist, interlock the fingers, and then just rotate your wrists a little bit. And then back. Good, and you can flick your wrist a little bit. Let's come back again. Coming onto the hands and knees, let's join those three poses together. Inhale, arch your spine, look up. Exhale, bring the chin into the chest, round your back. Let's do that two more times. Inhaling, arch, stretch the spine, the front body. Exhale, look into the navel. Inhale again, one more time. Look up. And then exhale, round your spine. Good, and stay there. Now join your big toes together, walk your knees wider apart than your hips. And then exhale, sink all the way back onto your heels and stretch your arms forward. Let's inhale again. And then exhale. Good, coming up again, inhale, come onto your hands and knees. Curl your toes. Exhale, push into the heels of the hand. And then lift the hips up, come into downward dog. Good, just pressurize your heels down. And you can bend your knees a little bit, a couple times, just sort of walk it out. Good, now in the downward dog, let's lift the heels up and bend the knees and bring your chest towards your thighs. Keep the hips elevated though. And lengthen your back. And then from there, try to keep the chest on the thighs and straighten the legs. They'll move a little bit. Good, and then release the knees down and come to child pose. And stretch out and rest. Inhale through your nose. And then exhale through your nose. Again, inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Good. On the next inhale, let's come up again. Let's come into Bidalasana. Look up. Arch. Exhale, round your spine. Go back to child pose. Knees apart, big toes touch. And then inhale, come up. Curl your toes, lift your hips, exhale, downward dog. Good, then release the knees down. Arch your spine, look up. Exhale to child pose. Inhale, come up to the hands and knees position. Curl your toes, lift your hips again, and come into downward dog. Good, let's stay here. 1, 2, and 3. Good, release the knees to the floor, everybody. Knees apart, big toes touch, and stretch into child pose again. Good, just rest for 2 breaths. On the next breath, inhale, come up, sit on the heels, and then again, let's release the wrists. In the other direction. Good, then press the hands down in an interlace and raise them up. And then exhale, release them all the way down. Okay, let's move on to another pose. Now we'll do one-legged downward facing dog. It's called Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. So we're going to come back into the 3 poses that we just worked with, and then we'll move into the one-legged version. Take your hands forward, everybody. Widen the fingers. Spread the knees as wide as the hips. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round the spine, stretch back to child pose. Inhale, come up. Pull your toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Walk the hands forward a little bit so you have enough weight on the hands. Now bring your legs together. Big toes touch. And from here, we're going to inhale, raise the right leg up. Lift and stretch. Good, and then exhale, release the right leg down. And then switch. Inhale, press into the right heel as you raise the left leg up. Press through the left heel. Stay here for 1 breath. Good, and then exhale, release the left leg down. Lift the heels up, bend the knees, bring the chest towards the thighs again. And then exhale, take the heels back and down. Good, inhale, raise the right leg up. Now this time, raise it as high as you can. Point the right foot. And then exhale, release the right leg down. And reestablish down dog with the feet together. Called Bidalasana, mountain pose. Inhale, raise the left leg up. Lift it up as high as you can. And then exhale, release the left leg down. Inhale here. And then exhale, bring the knees to the floor as wide as the hips or wider. And come to child pose. Rest. 2 long breaths. Good, and then the inhale, come up and sit in Vajrasana. Let's massage the wrists again. One direction and the other direction. This time, let's flick the wrists. Interlock, then press the hands down and up. And then exhale, release the hands down. Good, the next posture we're going to go into now is the plank position. So this is called plank position or Utthita Ardha chaturanga. It is a position that is the top of a push-up. Many of us do it in a lot of different types of physical exercise. It sets us up for 2 other postures that we'll be going into today. It sets us up for the Aṣtanga Pranam, or the 8-pointed bow, which is a variation of chaturanga, a variation of low plank. And then we'll also practice low plank. All right, so let's go ahead and come forward. Let's come into our cat-cow position with a neutral spine. From here, we're going to inhale. And then as we exhale, step your right leg back, straight back, and then your left leg back, straight back. Let your legs be about a narrow hip width. Good. So from here, try not to sway your back down or lift your hips too far up. Try to let your butt be in line with your shoulders and stay here and breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bend the knees and bring the body back into child pose. Good. Rest for 2 breaths. Okay, good. Let's return. Set it up. Hands shoulder width apart, knees hip width apart. Now we'll come into plank position again, but this time we will move through the lower push-up, but it's the 8-pointed bow. So this is a variation for chaturanga that can be used to modify a difficult posture, which is the lower push-up. All right, so this time let's take the left leg back, press the floor away, take your right leg back, lift the knees off the floor. Good, stay here. 5, 4, compact the hips a little bit. 3, 2, 1. Now from here, just release the knees down. And like a push-up, you're just going to lower your chest, bend your elbows back, and lower your chest to the floor. Your hips are slightly lifted. Good, and then relax the hips to the floor all the way down. Point your toes back and just rest a second. Good, now from here, curl your toes again. Inhale, squeeze the elbows to the side of the body, push back up, and then take it back to child pose. 2 breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Good, let's come forward again. Come back into plank position. This time lift both knees up off the floor together. Stay here for 5, 4, lift your lower abdomen up. 3, 2, 1. Gently lower the knees down, don't drop them. And then from here, lower the chest down. And let your hips be last to come down. Good, now from here, inhale. And then exhale. Push the floor away like a push-up and slide back to child pose. 2 breaths. Let's come forward again. Inhale, set it up again. Now this time we're going to do the full lowering down of the lower push-up, the chaturanga. The pose before that we just did, the half version, is always an option. It's better to do that than injure your shoulders. Okay, so let's go ahead and lift back up into plank position. Inhale. Now from here, you're going to push off your toes a little bit. Take your elbows close to your lower body, to your rib cage. Squeeze the legs, and you're just going to lower down like a stick all the way to the floor. So Chaturanga Dandasana means 4-handed stick. All right, so good. So from here, inhale, and then exhale, push back to child pose. One more breath. Yeah, let's inhale, let's come forward, everyone. Lift back up into plank position. Hold here for 5, 4, 3. Variation of plank can move the knees down. 2, 1. Good, from here, look forward. and down, lower, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the floor. Good, and then inhale, and then exhale, push back to child pose. Okay, let's come up on hands and knees again. On the inhale, I'm going to show you both the half version and the full version. Please do it with me. So let's go ahead and come back into plank. Inhale. And then exhale, lower the knees and the chest, and then the hips. Good. Then press back, child pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. Exhale again. Inhale, come forward, hands and knees, everyone. Plank position. Lift the knees off the floor, creating that strong body for now. Inhale. And then from here, elbows alongside the rib cage. Lower your body like a stick. Don't let your hips come down first. Chin is tucked. And lower to the floor. Good. And then inhale. And then exhale. Press all the way back to child pose. Good. Now bring your hands back to the sides of the body, if that's available for you. And just rest the wrists. Stay here for 2 breaths. Good. Let's rise up now on the inhale. And for our last posture today, let me make sure. Yes. Our last posture for this particular video is we're going to do the Anjaneyasana. So this is a low lunge position that we will find in the classical sun salutations. And it's a position that helps us set up for many standing poses. So we'll come forward. Come onto the hands and knees. You're going to rock your way to your left knee, and you're going to step your right foot up to your right thumb. So if the foot was having a hard time getting up, come into your knees, rock your way to your left, and then just take a nice step forward with your right knee, your right foot. Bring the hands down, and then walk your foot forward a little bit. Now, if the hands do not touch the floor, then grab blocks or your books or can or a chair and use that to support. Okay, so this position allows us to stretch a little bit in the hips, the inner thighs, the front of the hip flexor, the psoas muscle. Good, and then from there, just take that right leg back and come back into child pose. Exhale all the way out. Good, let's inhale, come up onto the hands and knees, and either come up on all the way onto your knees or step your left foot up to your left thumb. Come into that low lunge. Lift your chest a little bit. You may notice that my ankle and knee are in one line a little bit. The ankle's a little bit behind this one, which is good. Otherwise, you can bring the ankle right under the knee, which is better. Good, then from here, let's go ahead and just step the left foot back and come into child pose again. Good, let's do it with modifications now. Inhale, come up onto the knees, everyone. Take your hands at your waist, rock to the left, inhale, step forward, grab your blocks, place your blocks either high, medium, or low, wherever you need support. walk the right foot forward a little bit and sink down and relax into the hips, into the pelvis, and lift your chest and let your chin come slightly down. And just breathe here gently through the nose. Lengthen a little bit from your lower back. Good. And then let's go ahead and return the right foot leg back and come up onto the knees, hands at the waist. Let's do the other side. Rock to the right knee, step the left leg up, rock forward, bring your hands to your blocks, walk your left foot forward a little bit so the ankle's under the knee, lift your chest, maybe walk the block a little bit forward, wherever you're comfortable, depending on the length of your arms and your torso. Good, chin slightly tucked. Lengthen the lower back and stay here for 2 breaths. Good, and then from here, let's release. Push against the block, step the left foot back, and come and sit in Bidalasana. Good, so these poses have many variations, but these are the basic kind of way to practice them. So let's run through all of them one more time, and we'll just link them together gently. Remember to breathe through each of the movements. Okay, so starting in Bidalasana, let's bring the hands forward. Inhale into Bidalasana, cat-cow, look up. Exhale. Inhale again, arch, look up. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, arch, look up. And then exhale, round your spine. Separate your knees wider than your hips, big toes to touch. Come to child pose. Breathe here twice. Good. Let's inhale. Let's come up under the hands and knees, everybody. Grow your toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Heels down and back. Pressurize your weight evenly between your arms and your legs. Press the thigh bones back. Good, and bring your feet together. Raise the right leg up. Keep the hips even. And then exhale, release the right foot next to the left. Reestablish your pose. Inhale, left leg comes up. Exhale, release the left leg down. Good, reestablish your pose again. Inhale, raise the right leg up as high as it can go now. Open the right hip up. Exhale, release the right leg down. Inhale, left leg comes up. And then exhale, release the left leg down. Good, release the knees to the floor. Rest in child pose. Take the hands back behind you around your outer hips and curl your fingertips to your inner wrists. Breathe twice. Good, release the arms forward again. Inhale, come up onto the hands and knees. Exhale, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, now come to plank position. Walk the hands forward so the wrists are under the shoulders. Good, stay here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the knees down. Good, and then slowly release your chest to the floor, letting the hips be the last to come down. Good, and then inhale, push the floor away and press back into child pose. 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, come up under the hands and knees. Walk the hands forward, everybody. Curl the toes, lift the knees up. Come back into plank position. Stay here for 5, 4, lift your sternum. 3, 2, 1. Pitch forward, lower down. Bring the body to the floor. Good. And then press yourself back into child pose. Breathe twice. Good. Inhale, come up under the hands and knees now. And then rock your weight to your left. Step your right foot up to the right thumb. Get the props that you need. Stay here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And step your right leg back. Child pose. And then inhale, come up. Step your left foot up to your left thumb. Walk your right knee back. Stay here and breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Step your left knee back. Back into cat-cow position. Inhale, arch left up. Exhale, round. Inhale and arch, look up. And then exhale and round. You're going to walk your knees all the way to your hands. Crisscross your ankles. And bring your ankles all the way forward. Good. Bend your knees and slowly roll down all the way onto your back. Take your feet as wide as your mat and let your knees drop in. Turn your palms up. Good. Relax your shoulders down your back. Place your right hand on your navel, your left hand on your heart. Good. And here, breathe into your heart center. And then exhale, bring your belly to your spine. Squeeze it in. Inhale into your chest, into Pranam. Exhale, squeeze your belly in. Inhale into your heart. Feel the expansion of the breath. And then exhale all the way to your navel. And then from here, bring your knees into your chest. Hold the backs of your thighs. Bring your heels up and rock yourself up to seated. Crisscross your legs. Come back into your straight spine. Good. And then let's bring our hands to our heart. Take an inhale. And then exhale, bow all the way down. And then come all the way up. So that concludes the class that covers the first part of the general asana postures. I'll see you in the next class.